Welcome today.
Today, we are going to talk about some pretty cool stuff.
Some awesome stuff. You
Right.
just wait.
As every day goes.
It's
So
breadsticks day.
It's true, it is. So we are going to today talk about near-death experiences. We've had a few.
I haven't had a few. I've had enough.
Oh, and it's also breadsticks day.
That's what
to
I
us.
just said.
To us. What's that off of?
To us?
To us.
Oh, isn't it from Alice in Wonderland?
No.
Oh, see, there's a breadsticks.
It's from Little Rascals.
Oh,
To us. Tastes like somebody poured it through an old boot.
so near-death experiences. I don't have. This isn't really a near-death experience. I mean, I had to go in for surgery and stuff, but I got my hand caught on a printing press. See, there's a scar right there. On my thumb, there's a scar. And
No, I actually got a webbed finger.
sort of. And it doesn't make me any better of a swimmer, I can tell you that. So anyway.
It's unfortunate. Because then
So,
she'd be faster than me with her longer wingspan. And her webbed finger. She still can't beat me.
I don't have the training you've had.
She hasn't taken the training I have.
We both grew up swimming. Both of us. So I'm sure that in itself has caused a lot of near-death experiences. But we've also chosen and opted into near-death
Remember that
experiences.
one time in Rigby Lake?
We were not drowning, but we were pretending.
No, I was.
No, when you're drowning, you sink and you can't breathe. You were not drowning.
I thought it was. Okay, here's the thing. This is what
She
happened.
thought she was. She wasn't drowning. We know how to swim.
Mhm.
She did lose her favorite shoes, and she still hasn't gotten over that. I can tell you that right now.
Okay. I'm over it. But I'm still going to tell you about it.
So she can...
So we went to the lake one day. And, so Terry and Lindy and I were all in there, and we were holding onto a big inflatable tube. And so we were swimming out into the lake, and Terry...
It's
and
like
we
a
were gonna-
miniature lake. It's not even...
I know, but actually it was pretty big.
Yeah, well...
So we were going to swim across this lake. Yeah? So...
We have... I don't know if we've done it at that point, but we have swam across
Yeah.
it several times.
It's not... Now it's like... Well, I take 4 strokes and I'm across. But...
Oh, not that small.
but it's not big either.
Big deal. The guy takes 5 steps and he's there.
Monster Team. Okay. So, we went out on this inner tube, and Tyree said, I'm going to swim across the lake by myself. And I was thinking, well, if she can do it, I can do it. So I let go too. We started swimming across the lake.
And of course, I couldn't just stay there by myself.
So she was just like, I'm going to too. And so
We've always been strong swimmers, all of
Yeah.
us.
And so Lindy, for whatever reason, she gets panic stricken, which it had not happened, and we don't know why, but she gets panic stricken. Well, at that point in time,
I just want to disclose our heads didn't even go under the water.
I was jumping off the ground to come back up and get breaths of air. So don't tell me. And I was trying to shoot.
It was too deep for us to touch.
Okay, well, I made it to the point when I could touch when it was probably like 15 feet or something like that, and I would let my breath out,
Oh, yeah, that's
sink to
where
the
we
bottom, and push at an angle towards the beach.
Still not drowning.
Because she knows. I coughed up water when I got back, so she can just shut her face. Anyway, so Lindy starts panicking for whatever reason, which is not a common thing. And so by that point in time, I didn't know how to shut the panic button off. So I started panicking too.
Shut the panic button off like it's a
Well, now I do.
trigger switch in your mind.
It is. I don't panic anymore. Anyway,
When you're 9, it's not as developed.
okay.
You were 9 out of 7. I'm pretty sure,
Okay.
weren't you?
I don't know. So then Tyree starts panicking, and we all just like flounder ourselves to try and get back to the beach. And I felt like I couldn't swim with shoes on, so I kicked him off. It was pretty deep.
You're lost forever.
And so I littered. Anyway, that's besides the point.
There's no fish that live in that lake.
I don't care. It's still a body of water,
I know.
and I still protect bodies of water.
It's
I'm
empty.
still a
every winter.
biologist. Oh, so they probably threw him away in the landfill. All right, that makes me feel better. So I made it to the beach and I coughed up some water. So that wasn't even like a super near-death experience. One time, I was driving with someone, I won't mention who, and we had gone snowboarding that day, and I already had a black eye and a bloody nose and probably a dislocated shoulder, because that's how I do snowboarding, you know. And so we were on our way back down the mountain, and we were fishtailing on purpose, and the chip was faulty in this vehicle. And so it was like on one, like we were just fishtailing it. It was fun and like down the mountain. And then the chip went out. And so, and it only went out for like a half second, but it was a half second that we didn't need for it to go out. And so we started swooping towards the bank or the edge of the mountain. And we ended up rolling down. I think it was twice. And we would have just kept on going forever, except for that we ran into a huge tree and in an immediate stop, and I was upside down. So I unbuckled my seatbelt and like
on her head.
Yeah, and I was like trying to brace myself. It's hard when you're like using your right hand to unbuckle your seatbelt and your left hand to try and catch yourself, and it's just awkward. So it was vice versa. It was like trying to unbuckle arm. Anyway, whatever. So that was one of mine. Lindy, you can go ahead and tell one of her near-death experiences.
Well, you have to finish the story. So they got out of the car there. Somehow. How did you get out of the car?
We climbed out through the window on the ground. Because it was upside down. And so it was like, I fell on my head.
Did it have like a sunroof?
No, I climbed, like, we unrolled the window.
Okay.
And I got out on the ground. And then we trudged up the bit of mountain that we had rolled down, and we waited for somebody to come pick us up. And somebody did, but it was like a really, really horrible day because
she was already battered
sore
and bruised.
I was already sore and hurt because snowboarding is like,
if you only go once every 3 years.
Yeah, I was super
You're
sore
the next day,
and I was tired, and I was already, and
now,
I was
if you're
literally
Olympian,
bruised.
like in one of our other episodes, then you're not sore from snowboarding every day.
Mm-hmm.
After snowboarding every day.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of my near-death experiences. I don't have any.
I have quite a few. I can tell now if you don't have one. One at a time.
I'm more of a cautious person than other people in my family. So I've jumped off of cliffs into the water and stuff. And I've jumped off of bridges into water and stuff. Really cold water. The Snake River is frigid. But I haven't died or almost died, so those don't count as near-death experiences.
So another one of my near-death experiences. I have quite a few. All right.
Well, yeah, because you're crazy, and I'm surprised that I don't have more near-death experiences, having grown up with this one.
She's had a couple with me, induced by me. Anyway,
her idea, me dragged along, story of my life.
Pretty much. Okay, I admit it at least. Okay, so I'll just tell you one more near-death experience, even though I have a lot. So I was in the U.S. Navy, and we were floating around the world. Unless you don't believe in floating around the world. Anyway, and so, so we were on the other side of the world in Guam, and I was on the beach, And we were like, basically how the beach goes in Guam is like you get into the water and it'll get up to about a foot of water. Okay, if it was like one thing could have altered it to kill you.
Okay, great. Go ahead. Keep
Okay.
going.
So the water goes out forever. It's like at a foot. It's like this deep. So I'm like walking, trudging along. We're riding along. Okay, never mind. It's off top, boy.
I got it.
Okay. So we are out there, and I, considering I'm related to her, I know a little bit about snakes. And there was one that was like vividly black.
There was
and
a
vividly
time
white.
when I learned a lot about snakes, and I may have forced all the information onto my family. That's all.
Maybe.
I wrote like 6-page paper just on one type of snake that.
But this is a hypothetical, so
Yeah,
she might have done this. Okay.
Yeah, hypothetical.
So there was a vivid, it's small, black and white, vividly colored sea snake sitting there. And it was very small.
They're deadly.
The smaller they are, the worse it is for you. So I had the opportunity in front of my very feet to touch
Of course.
this
Couldn't pass this
deadly
opportunity.
snake. So I did the logical thing.
And she petted it.
I did. But the worst part of it was the fact that it had its head in the sand. They don't like that when they don't know that you're going to do something. Yeah, so I petted it, and it whipped its head out of the sand, and I was like, ah! And I started running back to the beach. So that was like, but it could have still overtaken me because they're very fast in the water. Like, I've seen them swim.
Clearly.
They're very fast. And so even me running
Like
through
anacondas.
the water,
Anacondas
like,
live in
I would have been done.
marshy, swampy areas and thrive in that because, well, first of all, it's humid and that's how they like it. But second of all, they can move much faster in the water than they can on land. They're very slow because they're heavy. They're very heavy. But I mean, that's not sea snakes. Anyway, that's beside the point.
But sea snakes, they're not super heavy, but they're
all snakes are fast in the water.
Their tail is
If they get in the water.
their tail is like a fin at the end.
Not all snakes thrive in humidity. Some snakes
It's
live
true.
in the desert. They're
Not all snakes-
sidewinders.
not all snakes
Those
can-
things are cool, by the way.
Not all snakes can live in salt water, but this one had a flat tail. The tip of the very very tip of its tail, it was flattened, and as you know,
Mhm.
like in a fishy manner, and it could have very
So that it
easily
can
and
propel
quickly
itself forward, yes.
come after me and bitten me. And so it was just like, and not just that, but I had my finger in the water next to it as it whipped around and looked at me.
Show us pictures of your breadsticks. Tell us about your
Breadsticks!
near-death experiences.
You eat some breadsticks.
You eat it. They're delicious.
True
I mean,
story.
all we did was cut some sourdough bread into strips and then fry it in butter.
Sticks of bread fried.
They were delicious too.
Not traditional.
Thank you for watching.
Please subscribe, subscribe, like, comment. We love you, and may adventures be in your kind.